Alright guys, what is going on? So continuing down the thread of trying to read and piece through information, it's important that you pay attention. And I know a lot of people don't want to. Maybe it's too scary, maybe it's just not important to them. They just want to live their life, they just want to be left alone. The problem with doing that is, especially if you have a family, if you don't know what's happening, then you cannot try at least to figure out what's coming. And if you can't figure out what's coming, it's going to be worse for your family. That's why you should always be prepared about almost anything. That's why I always tell people to just have storable food. There's no point in not having it. It's food. You're gonna eat it eventually. Once it gets close to the expiration date, you're going to eat it. I buy the stuff from my Patriot Supply. They're not a sponsor. It's only carbs though. There's no meat in the packages, so if you want meat, get canned meat or have another way to go fishing or whatever. But you need to get ready, because I'm going to roll over a couple of different things today. I'm going to show you a couple of different sources that you guys can also start looking at to stay informed yourself. So we can do that today, and it'll be quick. We won't have a long video. There was one person that asked me about oil and natural gas and if we're close to running out. No, that's climate propaganda. They've been doing that for a long time. They did it in the 70s. They said we're all out of oil. Well, it's not true. My dad worked in oil and gas for a very long time. Well, there's some things he told me that I can't say because he had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and I ain't trying to get sued. But there's a lot of oil out there. First of all, we're not running out of natural gas because the bacteria in the earth constantly makes new natural gas all the time, and there's a ton of natural gas deposits. Secondly, the oil, a lot of oil wells fill themselves back up over time, and there's also a mega boatload of oil in the United States and Alaska that we haven't tapped. Some of it's because it's more expensive to tap it. The oil price isn't high enough, but if push came to shove and we needed it, we could get it. We're not in any risk of running out of oil anytime soon. That goes for Saudi Arabia. We will all be long dead and gone before we run out of oil. I can promise you that. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't switch over to green. I do honestly believe that we should be running off of hydrogen. We should. We should be doing that. But economically, it's just not viable as of right now. Technology needs to get better. But let's roll into these articles that we have today. First one, I touched this on my other channel, so if you're new here on this channel but you don't know that I have another channel, it's just Joshua Thompson, Take Off the Rants, and it's mostly just about the stock market, about finances, about why the Fed doesn't print money, etc., etc. If that's the first time you've ever heard that, then you need to go check out that channel, go back in the history, and look up the whiteboard videos I did, and I go down in extreme detail of how the Federal Reserve does not print money. First one. This is from Sentiment Trader to give them credit. Sometimes there's a chart that just blows your hair back. In 22 straight years of doing this, none stand out like this. Institutional traders have purchased $8.1 billion worth of puts. This is how many they bought in 2008. This is where we're at now. Now, I want to be clear about something. Okay? This is going to be more extreme now because there's more dollars in existence than there was back then. But not to this degree. Let's just be very clear about that. But this will be higher than back then because there's more dollars around now than what there was then. So just keep that in mind. But 3 times more extreme. Ouch, 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 ouch. Secondly, you need to keep in mind that we have a looming... That's right, strike on the railroads. If I remember this correctly, most of them came to an agreement and they're not going to strike, but 2 railroad companies did not, and combined it's about 90,000 people. If the railroad workforce lost 90,000 people, and this is set to go Friday, if they can't come to an agreement, it's set to happen this Friday. Freight in this country will come to a screeching halt, and not only that, they will have to take all that freight off of the rail lines and start putting it on trucks. That will make the price go up at the store. Keep that in mind. This is huge news, man. This is actually a lot bigger deal than a lot of people are talking about. I've seen some people on YouTube talking about it. The main one I seen talking about it, his channel, I think it's just Kevin. Not Meet Kevin, it's Kevin. It's an African American gentleman. I saw him talking about it a couple of weeks ago. I didn't think it was going to go on this long. I figured they would have come to some agreement and resolved it by now, but apparently not. Apparently this is a problem that might actually happen, and then Bernie Sanders voted down the resolution. So just keep that in mind, guys. This might be coming. It might actually be around the corner. Getting into other news, it looks like by about the 18th. You know what? Let me refresh this because this is yesterday's model. So let's do this live with you guys. So that's the 13th of September. Let's see when this starts turning green. What was that? So it looks like the 16th is when they're gonna start needing their heat in Europe. And you're starting to see the blues pop up in the Alps down here. Yeah, that's below zero. Okay, so definitely by the 18th of September still, Europe is going to increasingly, more and more need more energy for electricity and to heat their homes and stuff. This is going to put a lot of pressure on their economy, and their economies might even start selling off their bonds to get dollars because, you know, most energy that you buy, you have to buy it in dollars. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's been for quite a long time. That's why they call it the petrodollar. Moving along. Here's a article. The reason I'm showing you this, guys, because electroverse.co, really good website that has actual factual information. They show this is the University of Alabama and Huntsville temperature data since 1979 in the upper atmosphere. There's that. This is the Greenland Melt Map. You can clearly see here that Greenland is gaining ice the majority of the year and only loses it for the very short summer period that it has. This is the Arctic ice extent. This is the Antarctic ice extent. You can see they all fall well within the multi-decadal averages. This chart's not live yet. It goes live probably in October. This is all the snow in the northern hemisphere minus the mountains. This is sunspots, live space weather, fluxes, X-rays. You get it. And then they have all these articles. They explain things. Fall-like weather to engulf energy-stricken Europe. September frost for Germany. Another cold month for much of South America, which should be going into its summer. So that's a good place. Let's flip over to solar weather. This is space weather news. You can see there's actually quite a bit of sunspots on the sun right now, but there's been no flares. I mean, we had an M-class flare yesterday, but nothing really too big to be concerned about. There's no coronal mass ejections being sent our way, so we're all good there. KP index looks good. Right now, we're all good there. The reason I'm showing you this website is so you can go there and look maybe once a day, maybe twice a day, because if we ever had another Carrington event, like I talked about in one of our past videos, which is a coronal mass ejection, you're only going to have about 18 hours. So if you know about it before everybody else does, you've got about 18 hours to prepare. Maybe less if it's a really big event. You might have, maybe 12, but I don't think that's just too fast. Now, I did see somebody commented on one of the past videos that said, actually, if you get one of the biggest flares, it can get here in 8 minutes. No, that's a solar flare, and that travels at the speed of light. It's different than a coronal mass ejection. Those are two different things. But yes, solar flares can get here in 8 minutes. They're not the biggest of concern. They can cause damage and they can do certain things, but the big concern is coronal mass ejections. At least in my opinion anyway. Earthquake update. Only reason I'm really showing you this is because we had earthquakes over here in California, a significant bunching of them, but no big quakes, didn't really do anything, didn't really cause any damage. We did have a massive quake over here around, Vanuatu? Or is it the Solomon Islands? No, it's Vanuatu. We had a big quake over there, but it's not going to cause a tsunami, so nothing to really be concerned about. So just keep in mind, the stock market, $8.1 billion in puts, and then railroad strike. That's what's looming right now. That's what we have in front of us right now. And I want to be very clear about this. When you finally realize that it's time for you to get food and supplies and batteries and watches and flashlights and aluminum foil for your family, it's too late. unless you're doing it now when there's no threat. If you wait until the problem presents itself, you're in the boat with everybody else that has a hole in it that's already sinking. So you're going to be stuck out in the ocean very soon. The smart thing to do is to get off of the boat in an inflatable raft before the boat gets a hole in it. Especially when there's signs ahead saying, hey, you might have a hole in your boat in 5 minutes. So that's my personal opinion. Do what you want. I'm just sharing my thoughts. And if you like those, please like, share, subscribe. I love each and every one of you. I'll see you in the next video.